الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاءك المنافقون قالوا نشهد إنك لرسول الله والله يعلم إنك لرسوله والله يشهد إن المنافقين لكاذبون اتخذوا أيمانهم جنة فصدوا عن سبيل الله إنهم ساء ما كانوا يعملون ذلك بأنهم آمنوا ثم كفروا فطبع على قلوبهم فهم لا يفقهون وإذا رأيتهم تعجبك أجسامهم وإن يقولوا تسمع لقولهم كأنهم خشب مسندة يحسبون كل صيحة عليهم هم العدو فاحذرهم قاتلهم الله أنى يؤفكون وإذا قيل لهم تعالوا يستغفر لكم رسول الله لووا رؤوسهم ورأيتهم يصدون وهم مستكبرون صدق الله العظيم.
In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. When the hypocrites come to thee, they say, We bear witness that thou art indeed the apostle of God. Yea, God knoweth that thou art indeed his apostle, and God beareth witness that the hypocrites are indeed liars. They have made their oaths a screen for their misdeeds. Thus they obstruct men from the path of God. Truly evil are their deeds. That is because they believed, then they rejected faith. So a seal was set on their hearts. Therefore they understand not. When thou lookest at them, their exteriors please thee, and when they speak, thou listenest to their words. They are as worthless as hollow pieces of timber, propped up, unable to stand on their own. They think that every cry is against them. They are the enemies, so beware of them. The curse of God be on them. How are they deluded away from the truth? And when it is said to them, Come, the apostle of God will pray for your forgiveness, they turn aside their heads, and thou wouldst see them turning away their faces in arrogance. This is the 7th of the 10 short Medina surahs dealing with a special feature in the social life of the Brotherhood. The special feature here dealt with is the wiles and mischief of the hypocrite element in any community, and the need of guarding against it and against the temptation it throws on the way of the believers. The hypocrite element, if one exists in any society, is a source of weakness and a danger to its health and its very existence. When the Holy Prophet came to Medina in Hijrat, his arrival was welcome to all the patriotic citizens. It not only united them in common life and healed their old differences, but it brought honor and light to them in the person of the greatest living teacher of truth. But there were baser elements filled with envy. Such hopes as they entertained of attaining power and leadership by playing on the animosities of the factions were now dashed to the ground. They now began to work underground. For fear of the majority, they dared not oppose the new growing brotherhood of righteousness. They tried to undermine it by intriguing secretly with its enemies and swearing openly its loyalty to the Holy Prophet. They were thoroughly unmasked and discredited at the Battle of Uhud. The testing of the hypocrites was the searching out of their motives and exposing them to the sight of their brethren who might otherwise have been taken in. In the first place, they gave counsels of caution. In their minds, it was nothing but cowardice. In the second place, what they wished was not the good of the community, but its being placed in a contemptible position. When others were for self-sacrifice, they were for ease and fair words. Pretending to be Muslims, they were nearer to unbelief. Ironically, they pretended to know nothing of fighting and left their devout brethren to defend their faith and ideals. If that devout spirit did not appeal to them, they might at least have defended their city of Medina when it was threatened, defended their hearts and homes as good citizens. When the hypocrites say that Muhammad, God's blessings be upon him, is the apostle of God, it is God's own truth. But what is in their hearts? Nothing but falsehood. Their double-dealing has fogged their understanding. In Arabic, the heart is taken to be the seat of understanding as well as of affection. The hypocrites at all times are plausible people, and so were the hypocrites of Medina. They present a fine exterior, they dress well, they can usually afford the fine equipages, and try to win the confidence of everyone, as they have no scruples in telling lies and apparently expressing agreement with everyone. Their words are fair-spoken, and as truth does not check their tongues, their flattery and deception know no bounds. But all this is on the outside. As they have no sincerity, nothing that they say or do is worth anything. Good timber is strong in itself and can support roofs and buildings. Hollow timber is useless, and has to be propped up against other things. The hypocrites are like to rotten timber. They have no firm character themselves, and for others they are unsafe props to rely on. Their conscience always troubles them. If any cry is raised, they immediately get alarmed and think it is against themselves. Such men are worse than open enemies. Even hypocrisy, like other sins, can be forgiven by repentance and amendment, providing there is a will and earnest desire to turn from evil and seek the grace of God. In this case, there was none. You have been listening to the Holy Quran.
الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سواء عليهم أستغفرت لهم أم لم تستغفر لهم لن يغفر الله لهم إن الله لا يهدي القوم الفاسقين هم الذين يقولون لا تنفقوا على من عند رسول الله حتى ينفضوا ولله خزائن السماوات والأرض ولكن المنافقين لا يفقهون يقولون لئن رجعنا إلى المدينة ليخرجن الأعز منها الأذل ولله العزة ولرسوله وللمؤمنين ولكن المنافقين لا يعلمون يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله ومن يفعل ذلك فأولئك هم الخاسرون وأنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت فيقول رب لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين ولن يؤخر الله نفسا إذا جاء أجلها والله خبير بما تعملون صدق الله العظيم.
In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. It is equal to them whether thou pray for their forgiveness or not. God will not forgive them. Truly God guides not rebellious transgressors. They are the ones who say, spend nothing on those who are with God's apostle, to the end that they may disperse and quit Medina. But to God belong the treasures of the heavens and the earth, but the hypocrites understand not. They say, if we return to Medina, surely the more honorable element will expel therefrom the meaner. But honor belongs to God and his apostle, and to the believers. But the hypocrites know not. O ye who believe, let not your riches or your children divert you from the remembrance of God. If any act thus, the loss is their own. And spend something in charity out of the substance which we have bestowed on you, before death should come to any of you, and he should say, O my Lord, why didst thou not give me respite for a little while? I should then have given largely in charity, and I should have been one of the doers of good. But to no soul will God grant respite, when the time appointed for it has come, and God is well acquainted with all that ye do. The stiff-necked rejectors of God's truth have made a wide gulf between themselves and God's grace. No prayer for them will help them. In the attitude of rebellion and transgression, they cannot obtain God's forgiveness. The Muhajirun, who have come to be with the Holy Prophet in Medina in exile, were received, helped, entertained by the Ansar, the helpers. The hypocrites in Medina did not like this, and tried in underhand ways to dissuade the good folk of Medina from doing all they could for the exiles. But their tricks did not succeed. The small Muslim community grew from strength to strength until they were able to stand on their own resources and greatly to augment the resources of their hosts as well. It is goodness that produces strength and prosperity, and God holds the keys of the treasures of man's well-being. It is not for God's enemies to dole out or withhold the unbounded treasures of God. In verse 8, they say, if we return to Medina, surely the more honorable element will expel therefrom the meaner. Words of this import were spoken by Abdullah ibn Ubay, the leader of the Medina hypocrites, to or about the exiles, in the course of the expedition against the Banu Mustalik in the 4th or the 5th year of the Hijrah. We had hopes of leadership which were disappointed by the coming to Medina of a great man, greater than he. So he arrogated to himself and his clique the title of the more honorable element, and slightingly spoke of the emigrants as the meaner element that had intruded from outside.